Okay guys, so now let's look into classes, right? Now Flutter, as I said, not Flutter but Dart, is an object-oriented programming language. Now what that means is that it utilizes classes and objects. Now what are classes and what are objects? Honestly, you will be able to find a lot of different definitions of classes online and most of them are very confusing. So I will not give you the proper explanation or the bookish explanation, to be clear. I will give you a good example so that you understand classes forever and you will never face any confusion in classes ever again. So let's first make a class. To make a class, you have to write class hello world and open close these curly brackets. Now one thing you need to remember, that whenever you write a new word, because in this name, this is the class name. So this class name has two words, world and hello, right? So whenever you write a new word for a class, you need to capitalize the first word. So here H and W are capitalized. Okay. And now let me rename my class. Let me rename it to student so that I can give you a better example. Now for a student, there might be different characteristics like string name equals to, it can be their name, okay, and then it can be their age, int age equals to 6. So there can be different characteristics. There can be height also. So let me make it double. Okay, double HEIGHT equals to 134.5. Okay, so there are these different characteristics for a student. Now what if I have multiple students? So in that case, let's say I have a student named by Shash who has a different height. I have a student named by Max who has a different height. So for different students, the height may be different, right? So this is basically, the student class is basically the blueprint of what all properties a student might have. Now we will make an object. To make an object, we will just write the name of the class, then obj1, or let's give student1, and again call the class. Okay, this is the basic syntax to write an object. Now what this basically means is that there is a student1 who has access to all these properties, and now I want to give its name, age and height. So to do that, for each student, as I said, that name, age and height can be different. So to do that, we use constructors. Now constructors is basically student, the name of the class itself. Whenever you use an object, this whatever code is within this constructor, that code runs first. So if I write print hello, okay, so make sure that hello is in double quotes. End it. Now let's make a function. So now let's make a function by the name hello and world, and I will just print hello world. Let me print hello world. Okay, let me print world here, right? World. So now what basically happens when I create this object is that all the values within this class, right? All the values, they are assigned to this first student. Now I can access all of them through here. So what I will do is student1. The moment I enter dot, you can see that the age variable, the name variable, height, and also the functions, I can now use them using this object. So let's print hello. Okay. And let's run this file. You will see that hello was printed first and world was printed after. This is because whenever you run a class, and the code inside the constructor always runs first. No matter what the code inside is, the code will always run first. So now let's look into how I can give these custom values, right? Now how I can print name. Let's see, print here name. I want to print the age. and I want to print the height. Now how can I print these three individually for different objects, which means for different students? Okay, this objects is basically different students that have these properties. So right now when I run this file, you will see that the name is empty, so nothing is coming here. Age is 6 and height is this much, and hello is being printed because it was in the constructor. Now to do that, actually assign custom values to each student, what we need to do is the same way we used parameters and functions. We will write here first string name. Okay, now we will write int age, then we will write double height. Okay, so now you can see that we are asking for different parameters. So now let's give it these parameters. For object 1, let's say my name is Shash. Let's say my age is 48. Haha, I'm an old guy. And let's say that my height is 156.4. Okay, so now you can see that for each student I have different values. Now you can see that this student 1 has these values. I can also use this again. Make sure that the name is not similar to the name of the object is not similar. So I will give it student 2, and now let's say he's Max. Okay, and the age is 30 and the height is 165, a superior human being from me. Okay, and now I can also use this student 2 to access all the values. So you can make infinitely as many objects as you want, right? But how do I use these custom values? If I print here again, I will see that the values which were first are only given. So to do that, what we need to do is, in this code, we need to write this dot name equals to name. Now what does this code mean? This means that the name for this student class, which we defined here, is equal to the name that was provided here. Now you can also write different, let me make it less confusing for you guys. So let's add an underscore here to understand this better. So basically what we are trying to say here is that the name entered by the user in the first object is now this name. Okay, so the value is now changed. Now if I try to print it again, you will see that first Shash was printed, then Max was printed, because we have two objects here. Let me just comment out one object for right now, and let's print again. So you can see that the name for the first object was printed. Similarly, we can use this dot age equals to age. Let's add underscore for all of them so that it's not confusing anymore, and add semicolon, and this dot height equals to underscore height. Okay, see, it's a better practice to write these values before you call the constructor, so that Dart recognizes that these values are present here, and then it assigns these new values to it. Okay, now when I run this file after saving, you can see that the custom value 48 we entered, 48 is coming, 156.4 is coming. Now let's even comment this out, and let's print a statement here so that we can get, let's print an empty string so that we get that space, and you can see that these two are different. Okay, so print statement was for this space, and you can see that Max, 30 and 165 all are being printed, and we are able to use these custom values. So this was the classes and objects. One thing you need to remember is that in a class, when you define a function, now this is a function, right? When you define this function, it's not called a function anymore. The name changes and it's called a method now. So they both are same, but when a function is used in a class, it's called a method. Nothing complicated there. And yes, you can write a function without a return type as well, but it's a better practice to add a return type, especially when you are actually returning something. Here, because I was only printing, I didn't really need a return function, so I did not give it a return type. Okay, now let's finally look into our last one concept, which is inheritance. And that will be the final concept, I promise you guys. And after that, we will quickly jump into making our first app. Yes!